Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the third presentation within the Microsoft Visio and Power Platform presentation series. My name is Chanel Lilic. I'm the VTSP Visio for Europe. And in this third session, we will continue what we introduced in the first session and put a special focus on manufacturing, construction, and finance industries, and how Visio can add benefits there, and how can Visio can extend or make them more productive. So let's recap quickly about our new reality, and then specifically about industry opportunities for manufacturing, construction, real estate, and the finance sector. In the end, we'll talk, of course, also about collaboration and work management, and what's most important for you as partners, partner opportunities. So again, as a small repetition, I think for everybody this year has been a rather interesting one, and it was shaping what we call a new reality. The new reality meant a disruption of many things which we have been used to do in a specific way. But it also created a huge amount of new possibilities and opportunities. So we can look at this year in two ways. Either in, oh my God, what have we lost? Or, oh my God, what did it show us? Things which could be done differently, things which could be done better. I think this year has done more for the digitalization of the work environment than many governments in many years before. So let's see how we can embrace this new reality, but still help companies today to cope with what's coming up in the next weeks and months. So we have three concurrent recovery phases. The first one is the respond, that's navigate the now, which means adapt in real time and continue operations, ensure they can continue, and include the enablement of remote work. Of course, we need to ensure the optimization of cash flow. We must ensure business continuity. However, then the rebound, which is here said be arriving summer 2020, I personally would expect more like spring, late spring 2021, but still, we need to return to business to scale quickly. We need to adapt product, services, and business models so we cope with the new reality, not only cope, but we also use it as a business opportunity. In this phase, we focus on value and cost reduction, but we also want to restart customer demand. And then, of course, let's look a little bit ahead. Let's look into the future. Reimagine, so shape the new normal, which means also incorporate the chances, the opportunities it brings. So reimagine, and position people and processes means adapt them. Also, technology for growth. So all these things can be, again, seen as we want to get to where we were before, or we don't even want to get where we were before, we want to get somewhere else. So we want to seek and embrace new opportunities to build resilience in a new normal, which means also, how can we prevent that what happened to us today happens to us tomorrow again, which is what we don't want. So remote work is one very important thing. As I said in my introduction, I think this year did more for digitalization of work environments than many governments and many laws in the decade before. So let's take this as an opportunity. Let's also take as an opportunity the whole cloud technologies and functionalities. So cloud computing services, making us more independent of where is our IT. Cloud storage devices. Let's also talk about applications for business like Microsoft 365, the Office suite, running well wherever we need it, in the environment as we need it. Let's talk about the business application platform, helping us to automate things, to get more data insight into the state of our business. Or project, to plan and structure how we execute and do projects. And in the end, let's talk about the ultimate organizational communication tool, Visio. The way how we communicate in Visio is through diagrams, through highly standardized ways of visualizing certain topics, information, and content. So everybody can use it and everybody can understand what am I seeing. So that's what the Visio platform is all about. Now, if we want to help the customers to plan the comeback, there is a few things which we must ensure. First of all, return the business to scale, which also means plan a sustainable organizational structure, which also means when people get back to the office, ensure they can do it in a safe way and ensure they can do it in a way so we still fulfill all the COVID-19 regulations. Adapt the business models, which means map and redesign critical business processes. Not only modify, but extend them into the new normal. And of course, visualize business drivers and get timely data insights, which also means try to get the data insights as quickly as you can and not just someday, somewhere in the future. And of course, focus on value and cost reduction. So whatever we can automate, let's automate it. Whatever we can allow people to do for themselves in a certain controlled way, let's do that. So support self-service workloads where people manage most of what they need themselves. We'd like to focus in this presentation on 3 specific industries. That's manufacturing, construction, and finance and insurance. And if we look at those, we will see that finance and insurance is the one with the lowest financial risk, and also it is one of the less affected industries by COVID-19, while manufacturing and construction have a higher financial risk, but they're also less impacted by the COVID-19. I mean, if you look around, I don't know where you're located, I'm located in Berlin. The one thing which still is going like nothing has changed is the construction work. So that's why you see that most of this is not really affected. Manufacturing, well, that depends largely on the branch, has a certain impact, has had a certain impact, and we'll address this in our presentation today. So we will see a load of industry opportunities, and these industry opportunities we have just brought down into the 3 categories: return, adapt, focus. And we've also taken the 3 industries: manufacturing, finance and insurance, and construction. Now, in all of them, we will see 1 or 2 examples of how that can be triggered and how that can be used with a real example provided in the webinar. Just, however, keep in mind, this is just a few examples. There is way more available and possible. So just because we don't mention it here with the blue, dark blue rectangles doesn't mean it's not possible. So the ensure safe return to the workplace is of course available in all, but we will discuss it within the manufacturing industry. Same applies for map and redesign critical business processes, for example. We will show it by the finance and insurance industry, but it is of course not industry specific. Redesigning and mapping critical business processes is available and needed everywhere, and so on and so forth. So in the manufacturing industry, we are talking again about small and medium-sized businesses. We talk about quality management regulations, operations, customer satisfaction, new product R&D, manufacturing supply chain, and many, many more. And here also, we need to address certain business challenges. So, for example, responding to the global business downturn and rebound. We also need to be able to give manufacturers reports with all the information they need to file critical jobs and fill critical jobs. And of course, we need to be able to provide them with the tool set to build more digital muscle, which means increase their flexibility and also, if possible, their automation. So we need to give them a tool set which will enable them to do that. So one manufacturing scenario is John, a plant manager. John needs to ensure safe return of his production workers to the factory floor, still with all the COVID regulations being fulfilled. So he needs to ensure his workers' safety while also getting timely data insights about maintenance procedures. So you see, it is a little bit contradicting. On one hand, we need to do everything very fast, and on the other side, it still needs to take into consideration loads of information. Well, with Visio, we can use a facility layout with social distancing guidelines. By the way, the social distancing guidelines and layouts have been put into a template which you can download for free from Microsoft to plan the return to workspace in a safe way. And then you can put this in place with monitoring of workspace usage, cleaning, disinfecting, and combine this with Power BI. So in this case, we are putting or bringing together two different worlds. One is the world of Visio, process diagrams, floor layouts, etc. And the other one is business intelligence. That is data, usage data, disinfection monitoring, etc. One is static data, the one is data over a certain period of time. Now with Power BI and Visio, we can bring that together. So the benefit here is that with visualization of the manufacturing space layout and real-time monitoring, we have greater peace of mind with are we compliant and are the people safe, but also have we put everybody where we need them. So we have timely data insights to return all the capacity to scale and still have all the COVID-19 necessary adaptations. So for example, and you see on the right-hand side, you see the example of the template which ensures workplace COVID compliant planning and documentation. So we can ensure this with a simple flow layout planning and then COVID extensions in the template. Again, it's a free of charge template you can just download and use. So you can plan the manufacturing flow layout, save time, and of course resources of any kind by getting it right the first time and not having to replan and rechange and remodel 5 times. By the way, all the other good stuff is still there. Co-edit, make comments, reply to comments, so people can give feedback, people can talk to you based on that. And by this, your organization can evolve. And maybe you had to do something because of COVID, but in the end, you turn out to have a way more efficient organization because certain things you always wanted to do or somebody always wanted to tell you now can be adapted or incorporated in the same time. The second scenario is Sarah, a training manager for research and development. So after reductions and furloughs, Sarah needs to identify new team members so she can identify the potential gaps in knowledge and create plans to share knowledge across teams. So the organization has a more sustainable organization structure. The more the different people know, the more they can help each other, complement each other, and ensure that we have a stronger base of knowledge. And due to manufacturing disruptions from COVID, 1.33 million people lost their jobs in April. So we need to bring this back and ensure that the knowledge is spread better. The solution here would be the Visio add-in for Microsoft Excel, which allows us to generate team org charts right within from Excel, which enables Sarah to quickly identify new team members and dig into team-based knowledge transfers. Who can teach whom what? And again, as in this first scenario, we could use Visio org charts, combine them with Power BI to ensure that training and institutional knowledge transfers are up to date and performed on a regular basis. By the way, there is a free of charge demo website, aka.ms/Visio Visual Playground, where you just can go and view a variety of Power BI dashboards showing Visio and Power BI working together in a nice and neat way. So rebalancing the workforce with automated org charts and data graphics is one of the big challenges. Well, not anymore. Just take Microsoft Excel, install the Visio add-in, which is again free of charge, and then just automate the org chart creation from data. What you see here on the right-hand side is literally Microsoft Excel. And within this Microsoft Excel, from the data we provided here in a table, the add-in created an org chart for us, which of course we can then decorate and extend with data graphics, visualize specific data, emphasize specific data, and have a more robust planning tool for your organization.
But by the way, you can also generate org charts from the Active Directory. And with data graphics specifically, you could clarify existing roles and also plan for the future by filling key jobs more effectively, by doing, as we said, identification of relationships, of knowledge gaps, and how this all could be, well, done more efficiently in the future. So we can enrich it and simplify restructuring by also mapping out potential scenarios. Now, the finance and insurance industry, again, small and medium-sized businesses, is like holding financial assets, lending services, risk management, underwriting, insurance contracts, etc. So finance and insurance, being a pretty old industry, often rely on legacy technology systems. However, if they want to transform operations, that could be risky and cost prohibitive. So how can we bring them into a more modern world? Because today's global economy is highly interconnected. So instability in one economy, 1,000 miles away, can destabilize another economy. Just imagine on the destabilization of certain regions in the world that can impact, and usually it does impact, that's the globalization thing, other industries in other countries. So we need to better engage with customers and build trust. We had the big hit in 2008 with the financial crisis, and we still need to continue to build trust with better experience and data analytics. So let's see how we could do that. One scenario would be Tony, an emerging issues insurance analyst. So how do we cope with what happened today to the economy? The economy isn't up and down. You know, 1 month is great, 2 months not, 1 month is great, etc. So how do we get more accurately assess critical emerging issues? So how can we get this information as an insurance company, knowing what's going on, what could happen, how can we plan into the future? And of course, that has a huge impact on future policies. How do we need to modify policies so we still stay in business? So working with stakeholders and using Visio, we can map emerging issues and identify key data points which we need to monitor today for the future. And to ensure accuracy, we need to update visualizations in real time and add a refresh cadence, whatever that cadence for us might be. So with visualizations and data we need to monitor, and we know the data we need to monitor, we have now more insight into emerging issues and also what the consequences, their impact. So Tony's company improves its grasp on emerging issues, and we can more accurately write new policies. Or let's see this as a business opportunity. We could also see where, for example, our competitors, where don't they have an offering for an emerging new issue where customers will want a protection from for a certain price, of course. So instead of just saying, hey, we need to respond, we can also proactively use this as a business planning tool and of course collect information and data. So visualizing impact and getting timely data insights, I think that is true everywhere, and especially here, visualizations for every process, whatever kind of process that is. We can go from the big picture to a drill down. So from the big overview into deeper into one component, into the subcomponents of a component, and way more. So we can literally work ourselves through the different layers or through the different stages. And again, all this can be put into the Microsoft Teams tab to bring together in Power BI reports with the Visio visual, our operational intelligence, for example, our business processes, and the business intelligence, the metadata, the data and information we collect, so we can coordinate all this together, internal, external, large, small, whatever. If the tool is right, the size of the project or the issue is almost irrelevant because the tool will help us to deal with it properly. So another scenario would be Joanne, a security analyst. And in this scenario, when securing a customer data is more and more important, just imagine all the data breaches we heard about in the last month, we need to map, analyze, and recommend improvements to the customer data collection and the usage process. Who is collecting data where? How is it stored where? Which means also what kind of protection do we need? So with Visio templates, Joanne really easily can create a structure and an overview of the customer data. What do we have stored where and how are we using it? And also, where does it have to be available and where does it not have to be available? So we can also tighten the security constraints and constrictions and also have new restrictions on what data can or should not be sent where. So due to mapping and analysis, we can identify 2 places with the company's data collection process which require additional security measures, which means security measures which were fine and okay a few years ago might be completely not enough in these days, in this world. So in addition, we can also recommend using Power BI analytics to track the use of customer data. So how much are we using which type of data really? Is it really necessary to collect the data, or is it just like collecting for nothing and then never using the data? So these are all scenarios and thoughts to keep in mind when talking to the financial industry. So mapping and redesigning critical processes, as said, is one of those. By the way, what you see here on the right-hand side is, again, a Power BI dashboard. By the way, if you go to aka.ms/Visio Visual Playground, you will bring yourself exactly to this page, showing you in the upper part a Visio diagram hosted by the Visio Visual for Power BI, which holds the whole Visio diagram. In the lower part, you see 2 different Power BI visualizations which help you to visualize and therefore also analyze metadata of the process. You see, in the past, we had either the possibility to analyze a business process or to analyze the metadata of a business process. Now, the Visio diagram will tell us how is this process structured, how is this process, well, literally planned and designed. However, we also get metadata about how efficient is the process, how quickly can people perform it, how easily, what is the cost of the process, etc. over time. Now, each of them for itself is, well, to a certain degree interesting, but only by bringing them together will we get the full picture and the full insight on what does this process mean in terms of effectiveness, cost efficiency to our organization. And then, of course, again, remote collaborations options can be used here to map supply chain processes. Now, this is one process, a business process. Of course, this business process can be any kind of process, production process, supply chain. And with Power BI, we can bring these 2 together and get real-time data insights. As we know, Power BI constantly updates, so we never need to refresh or update ourselves. Let's come to construction and real estate industries. Again, it's small and medium-sized businesses like transportation, power plants, skyscrapers, apartments, houses, or renting tangible and intangible assets, renting and buying real estate, property purchase and management. So all this in this category. Again, we need to accommodate to shifts in demand and outright disruptions. I mean, that's how it is, and everybody who was building a house once knows it. Everything takes longer than it does, and it's not the fastest anyway. So construction projects are slow by nature, and they're also slow to respond to changes in demand. So how can we react quicker? The industry needs to evolve efficiencies for individual businesses to stay relevant. I mean, if the industry on the whole can increase productivity by 50 to 60%, that would be 1.6 trillion a year in incremental value. So how can we do that? Well, by emphasizing and accelerating digital transformation to increase productivity. And productivity means getting the data quicker. So digitalization in this industry is usually lower than almost in any other industry. However, that can also mean a severe problem because it takes longer to adapt to the new normal
than other industries. So it can also drive badly needed increases in workload and meet customer needs. We can, or to make it short, we can speed it up. We can also increase, well, any kind of service delivery. So scenario number one in construction would be Jamie, a project engineer, and she's tasked leading her firm's initiative to reduce costs and, if possible, speed up her company's request for proposal for process. Now, apart from living from building buildings, we also need to find new contracts to have to build new buildings, so request for proposal is important. Now, if we can speed up our reaction time and the fulfillment of this by a certain degree, that would immediately mean more business, more reliable business, more business in the future, etc. So using Visio and Microsoft Teams, we can reach out to teams across the firm, collect the input, and document the RFP process. And of course, collecting is just the first step. The next step is optimize it, get feedback on what's working good, what's not working good, and then optimize it again. So with the RFP process well in hand, Jamie can start to look for ways to help retool the process. Critically, we could also add Power Automate with input triggers, actions, and connectors to the Visio map, which means that we could get automated reminders quicker, and by this speed up the entire RFP process. Plus, using Visio, as I said in my introduction, information communication platform for an organization, we can efficiently and way more efficiently communicate the process to key team members, because we reduce the amount of time we need to explain to them what we're talking about. So, construction real estate, we can save time and cost by automating repetitive processes with Power Automate. Now, what you see on the right-hand side is a Power Automate flow, but it's also a Visio diagram. Quite a while ago, Microsoft Visio introduced the ability to create a BPMN notation-based process diagram, and then have this diagram literally exported to Microsoft Power Automate and create a flow. So from the business process visualization and reimagination with customizable Visio shape, we can bring this forward and make a Power Automate flow with that. Of course, including all the collaboration features like command, chat, etc. But now we get also a Power Automate flow. So this is, let's say, the successor to the SharePoint Workflow Designer, just that it's not just SharePoint, but all of the Power Automate platform, triggered and configured within a simple Visio diagram. Scenario number two, real estate, would be Rick, a real estate brokerage manager. Now, after his business took a hit from the pandemic, the Rick's company has begun to look for ways to improve the process of managing listings. Now again, Visio-based templates enable Rick to easily map the firm's processes for list management. We can identify redundancies and collaborate with team members to streamline them, or in general, make the whole system more efficient. Now, to know what we can make more efficient, we first need to know what's not working inefficiently. So with this being immediately documented and visualized, optimization is then way easier. So after fixing redundancies in the listing process, Rick can also again add Power Automate to the mix. So now we create from the Visio visualizations with real-time updates, reminders, Power Automate flows, and we can manage the listings, which can also may or potentially lower costs. But it will definitely give us a more deep insight into how are we doing certain things, and also let's say the knowledge. We don't have to deal with certain things. That's handled now automatically in the background, so we can focus on the customers, new customers, existing customers, and so on. Again, one of the key components here next to Visio is Microsoft Teams, because within Teams we can create, modify, and edit Visio diagrams. You see here a screenshot where the Visio diagram is literally edited within Teams, and also commenting and co-working features are added in Teams. This is all an in-Teams experience. We don't have to leave Teams for that. In-app commenting, feedback, and for very important diagrams, you can put them as a tab in Teams, and it's a Visio diagram living as a tab in Teams. So the standardized communication and information for your coworkers. Now, sometimes you need to plan, to structure work, etc. Here, Microsoft Project is the right tool, which helps you to stay organized, focused, and in charge, by knowing what do we need to do, what needs to be done before or after what. It's collaboration made easy and allows us intelligent planning and real-time budget analysis, resource planning, and many, many more. And the good news is you can also create projects as tabs. You have a familiar planner experience, and it's accessible to all Microsoft 365 users. So it's available everywhere to everybody. So what are the partner opportunities for you? Now I've shown you a lot of scenarios, industries, possibilities, etc. But let's talk about partner opportunities. Where is the money? Where is the benefit for you in all this? Well, there's three major revenue models: the cloud solution provider, the managed services provider, and the independent software vendor. The first one will focus on transactional value. So bring the software to the customer, ensure they're using it. The managed service provider takes one step further and offers deployment and migration support, managed services. And the independent software vendor goes one step further and delivers full-featured custom solutions and apps, so-called repeatable IP, to really multiply experiences from customers and other projects in a standardized way, which creates a repeatable solution in different scenarios and industries. Now, when we talk about Visio, and I've mentioned them always, well, not I, but the PowerPoint has mentioned them, like requires plan this, requires plan that. Keep in mind, the Visio licensing is extremely simple. There is only two different ways of licensing. That's Visio Plan 1 for approximately $5 a month, and that's Visio Plan 2 for approximately $15 a month. Now, Visio Plan 1, and that's what you need to keep in mind, is browser only. So you must have not only internet access, but also access to your tenant to be able to use Visio Plan 1. Visio Plan 2 contains Visio Plan 1 and also adds to this the desktop client experience. So for more complex diagrams, for more complex creation scenarios, and for example, the Power Automate output, you will need Plan 2, which will contain Plan 1. So these are the two different plans, and I mean, it depends on the scenario which one you want to use. I'm just mentioning this here briefly. So again, offer your partner services for the comeback. Plan the sustainable structure for helping your customers with new organizational blueprints, workplace redesign. That's something customers now really, really heavily need. Create business analysis with dashboards and data support. As I mentioned, Power BI dashboards containing also Visio data. Then process automation. Export what you learned into a Power Automate flow. And then, of course, alternative to some, well, professional employer organization scenarios. So all this is something you as a partner can add and do for your customers. And just so I've mentioned this, if you're a CSP, nobody will prevent you from also doing managed services or creating your own software solution. So this is not meaning you're either this or that, could be a combination of those. So Visio ISV partners are developing solutions, for example, for life science customers. There is a swim lane timeline add-in created by visibility.biz, which will convert project Excel and SharePoint lists into standardized project and portfolio reports. You can share that as Word or PowerPoint. And it's used extensively by major life science companies to track the drug development and approval process. So again, swim lane, timeline, one-click report, and track a drug. There is a load of partner solutions out there. I can talk for hours about that, but this is just to give you an idea. Now, also is giving you also quite a bunch of resources for CSP partners, like a sales playbook with a product overview, with partner opportunities and sales plays. There is also partner-ready marketing additions for like lead generation toolkits for emails and digital assets, product videos. There is also partner-ready sales with solution briefs, customer pitch decks. And please keep in mind, you're free also to reach out to me as long as it's a product, a Visio product-based inquiry or question. I will put into the chat my email address, and please feel free to reach out to me anytime. For partner-related questions and sales-related questions, please feel free to reach out to Madalena Russo from also.com. So, as a wrap-up, COVID impacts all industries and businesses of all sizes. Manufacturing, construction, finance are more affected by the pandemic more and more as the time evolves. However, Visio and the Power Platform offer multiple opportunities for businesses to surmount existing challenges and as well those brought on by the pandemic. Or I would prefer to put it in a positive way. The pandemic has in many industries and businesses surfaced certain things which might have been there for longer, but now they show very, very significantly. And with Visio and the Power Platform, we can handle them way easier and quicker. And we can also plan for the future. So identify not only the bad side, but also the opportunities, the business opportunities coming out of that. So we should encourage partners and customers to look at the Visio scenarios to fully grasp the solutions and the potential behind it. Don't see it as we need to get somehow back to where we were. No, we need to see where do we want to go back to, or what does go back to business mean? Maybe a change in business, a redesign, a reshaping of our business. So having said that, I'm done with my presentation. I thank you very much for watching it, and I will now open the question and answer session. If you have questions, please feel free to post them in the chat window, and I will be very happy to answer them. So, oh yeah, by the way, we have a short questionnaire, so please feel free to answer that too. So are there any questions so far? Haley, are there any questions?
No, I don't see any questions being asked. So I think we can close the webinar. And thank you so much for the great presentation.
Thanks. Have a lovely day.